They convicted Marcus Aldine of first-degree murder in 1997. Then an archivist at the state crime lab found a sealed internal memo dated 3 days before trial, and the analyst who testified that the blood matched Aldine had already told his supervisor it didn't. So why did he testify that it did? The case looked airtight. On the night of September 4, 1996, Dennis Caro was found stabbed in his apartment on Renfield Street in Denton, Ohio. Aldine was his neighbor. They had argued twice that week over money. When police arrived, Aldine had a cut on his right palm. He said he'd sliced it opening a paint can. The state's theory was simpler. Blood evidence, a smear on Caro's doorframe found at hip height, went to the Ohio Bureau of Criminal Investigation. Analyst David Feltz spent 11 days on it. At trial, he told the jury the blood was consistent with Marcus Aldine. The jury took 4 hours. Aldine got life. The memo sat in a lateral filing cabinet on the 3rd floor of the BCI Records Annex in Richfield. Cabinet label: Storage, 1994-1998, non-active. When a contract archivist named Susan Pohl was digitizing those files in 2019, 22 years after the trial, she pulled the folder for case file 96CR1142 and found something that had no reason to be there. 1 page. Header: Analyst Quality Review, Preliminary Assessment. Date: August 29, 1997, 3 days before David Feltz took the stand. Signed by Feltz and his section supervisor, Dr. Raymond Hartwell. The memo documented a discrepancy. The doorframe sample was a partial transfer degraded by surface contact. Feltz had written his conclusion in plain language: insufficient sample integrity to make a reliable determination of source. Not consistent with the defendant, not Aldine's. Insufficient to determine anything at all. That memo was never disclosed. At trial, Feltz testified under oath that the blood smear was consistent with a type A positive donor, Aldine's blood type. He called the result reliable. Defense counsel never challenged it. The jury heard one interpretation of that evidence and no other. The memo says the opposite. 3 days earlier, the same analyst had told his own supervisor the sample wasn't reliable enough to attribute to anyone. Under Ohio discovery rules in 1997, any document that contradicted a state expert's anticipated testimony was required to reach the defense before trial. That's Brady material, exculpatory evidence the prosecution is legally obligated to hand over. Chain of custody records show the memo was logged into the lab's internal review file on August 29th and never transferred to the prosecutor's exhibit list. It never reached the defense table. And here's the detail nobody has explained. The memo was filed under Aldine's case number. Someone knew exactly which case it belonged to. The lab's internal review files were not public records under the classification system Ohio used before 2003. Defense attorneys couldn't request them through standard discovery. They lived in an administrative category that put them outside the reach of a standard subpoena. Hartwell, the co-signing supervisor, retired in 2004. When Aldine's post-conviction attorneys interviewed him in 2021, he said he didn't recall the specific memo. He said internal quality reviews were routine and not always flagged to prosecutors. He said it was possible the prosecutor never saw it. But the second memo wasn't even the strangest part. Post-conviction investigators filed a targeted public records request in 2022 for all internal communications referencing case file 96CR1142. The lab produced 11 pages. Among them was a follow-up document dated September 1, 1997, 1 day before trial opened. This one wasn't signed by Feltz. It was signed by a lab coordinator named Patricia Vane, the standing liaison between the BCI and the prosecutor's office. Her note referenced the August 29th quality review memo directly. It read, "Analyst confirms result stands for trial purposes. Preliminary assessment superseded." Superseded. That word is doing considerable work. It means Vane had seen the first memo. It means she knew Feltz had concluded the sample was unreliable. And it means someone made a documented, signed decision to treat an unreliable result as reliable anyway. Loop closed. Remember, the memo was filed under Aldine's case number from the beginning. Someone had been tracking this from the moment Feltz wrote his original conclusion. Patricia Vane left the lab in 2003. Her personnel file shows a transfer to the Ohio Attorney General's office, where she worked in a department that handled lab accreditation oversight for 14 more years. The woman who documented the decision to override an unreliable blood result spent over a decade overseeing the credentialing of labs that produce those results. Marcus Aldine has been in Grafton Correctional since 1998. 3 post-conviction petitions filed. All 3 denied on procedural grounds, not the merits of the evidence. Ohio courts have declined to review the newly surfaced memos on the argument that Aldine's attorneys missed the statutory window for Brady claims, even though those memos were physically inaccessible in a non-public filing system until 2019. The blood smear on that doorframe was the only physical evidence placing Aldine inside the apartment. No weapon, no fiber transfer, no witness who saw him enter. The one eyewitness who reported hearing the two men arguing was later found to have met with the lead detective twice before giving her formal statement. Her account changed each time. Aldine is 61 years old. What nobody has answered, not the lab, not the AG's office, not the prosecutor from that trial who is now a sitting municipal court judge, is this. When Patricia Vane wrote that the preliminary assessment was superseded, who told her to write that? And what did they know about that sample that Feltz never put in either document?